Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Billy Niz with the Square Off TV. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope all your kids got what they wanted from Santa Claus. And since it's Christmas, I'm going to give you part 2 of Whitey Bulger, of the Whitey Bulger series, since I'm actually where he was born right now, in the Old Harbor Projects. The apartment is actually right over my shoulder, if you don't believe me. Why wouldn't you? Haven't lied yet. I'm the realest white dude on YouTube, and that's a fact. Anyways, where'd I leave off? Oh. So they make the truce with the Mullins gang. Howie Winter brokers the truce for Whitey and the Mullins gang. So Whitey ends up going into business with the Mullins gang, working with them. And it really didn't take long for Whitey to convince, I respect this man, and we grew up on the same street. He's much, much older than me. He grew up with my uncles and my grandfather. Whitey convinces this person that they can do a better job running the fucking crew. So this person ends up whacking out his partner to take over the Mullins gang in South Boston. And once this happened, some guys didn't mind, most did. Some guys ended up in prison for a very long time. Other guys fell off and got out of the life. But these Whitey and these two men continued to do business and started forming their own crew. And John Conley is older now. He's a young, ambitious FBI agent from this project too. That's right over my shoulder. And out of nowhere, he starts looking for Whitey. He's going here, he's going there. He even goes to his politician brother who worked at the State House in downtown Boston. If you've ever been to the city of Boston and you've gotten off at Park Street Station or Downtown Cross, if you get off at Downtown Crossing, you walk up the street, 1 block away is the State House. If you get off at the next station, which is Park Street, which is a block away, because if you've been on a Boston train on the Red Line, from here to downtown Boston is, you got Broadway, South Station. It's 2 stops. Where I live, it's 2 stops. Southeast 2. You can walk to downtown Boston from South Boston. Just like Charlestown. Charlestown lives right there. The North End is basically in downtown. And where the Italians lived and did business. And if you've gotten off at the train at Park Street, you walk up the stairs. The State House is right there with the big gold dome roof. What you seen in The Departed, that gold dome roof, that's the State House, where the state trooper ended up moving into a condo, and off his porch you can see the gold dome. That's the State House in the city of Boston. Go watch The Departed, which someone in my family was in, and in Gone Baby Gone. Me and that person haven't been seeing eye to eye, but whatever. That's neither here or there. He even goes there to talk to his brother. And his brother tells him, basically, cut the shit. I'll tell him. But Jimmy, if he wants to find you, he'll find you. So Conley gets a mysterious phone call late at night, and it's Whitey Bulger. Jimmy, to people who hung around him, James Whitey Bulger, and they meet up, and Whitey asks, "What the fuck do you want?" And Conley gives him a proposal, because he wants to move up fast. He don't want to be a paper pusher, and I don't blame him, you know. And Whitey said, "I'm no fucking rat." He was like, "It ain't ratting." He said, it's a partnership. It's an alliance." Whitey's like, "Yeah, alright, whatever." He was like, all Conley wanted to do was get the Italians. So Whitey thinks about it. And like, let's get, I want to get one thing straight. They already knew where everybody worked, and you know, like, it ain't like these men who haven't been followed and watched. Whitey thinks about it and says, "I'm taking over the fucking city and state." Next thing you know, Conley's on the front of the Herald with the Angiulo brothers, the Angiulo crime family. That was in the Boston area. The Patriarchas, they dealt with, you know, the Patriarchas in Providence and shit like that, but Conley got the Boston Italians. And that famous picture of him, like, pointing to a car. This one's going in there. I'm an FBI agent. The Italians are gone. The city's for the taking for Whitey and a couple other gentlemen. This kind of makes me laugh a little bit. There were like 5 main people that basically were the top dogs. You had Kevin Weeks, Irish. Stephen, the Rifleman Fleming, Italian. Cadillac Frank, Italian. Patney, Irish. Mullins Gang leader. So that was 4. Patney ends up going to prison for a long time. No, I'm sorry, that was 5. That made 5. Patney ends up in prison for a long time. It was over 10 years. It was a long time. I want to say 10 to 15 years he was gone. It was a long time. Maybe more. I'm not sure of the number, but I know it was over 10. So Whitey starts using this, like, not for nothing, people want to call Whitey a rat or whatever. But if honestly, whether you're black, white, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Mexican, motherfucking Asian, if you had a friend who grew up in the same project as you their whole lives, a friend, and basically he gave you a license to do whatever the fuck you wanted and run your fucking family however you wanted to run it, do what crimes you wanted to commit, whack who you wanted to whack. You can't tell me you wouldn't do that. And if you say you wouldn't, you're a fucking liar. Whitey wasn't ratting on anybody at all at this whole time. He wasn't telling on nobody. He was just committing crime and whacking people without getting in trouble. Of course, they couldn't just leave a body there or like do it blatant, you know. They whacked people how everybody whacked up, you know, how the mafia whacks people, how every mafia whacks people. This is how they would find out if it was a good burial spot for a person they just hit. They would leave a $50 bill on the ground. They would come back in a few days. Maybe they'd come back in a week, maybe a little bit less. If the money was still there, they knew it was a good spot to bury someone, because people didn't walk through there at all, or very little. So Whitey starts doing his thing, making fucking money, shaking motherfuckers down. Every drug dealer, if you wanted to sell drugs in South Boston, you either went through Whitey Bulger, or he would send Kevin or someone to go do it, to go grab you, and he would tell you. He didn't go looking for people himself. Except for when he whacked out someone who was ratting on him. John Gotti never did that. He had other people do his dirty work. Whitey, he liked doing it in himself. He was no coward, believe me. He was no fucking coward. Whitey did years in Alcatraz. Let me say that again. Whitey Bulger did years in Alcatraz. And they did MK Ultra, mind control, LSD, acid experiments on him. Now the conspiracy side, it's like, was Whitey under mind control? Or did it make Whitey a mastermind criminal? I'm not sure of either. I'm just putting some questions into your heads. At this point, the Mullins are gone. They're done. They're either done or some are working for him now. Thanks to fucking... I don't even know why the Mullins even listened to this motherfucker. It's like he wasn't even from South. He beat it. Like, take your motherfucking ass to Somerville. Howie Winter. Whitey ends up stabbing him in the fucking back, and he goes away forever. Howie Winter's gone. He got pinched. So now he really runs the city and the state. I mean, you had those Italians in Springfield, but like it, you might as well call them New Yorkers or New Yorkers, because they would the Genovese crime family. They a lot of Italians were made in a lot of Italians in Massachusetts. The Genoveses worked out of Boston a lot, or the Massachusetts, and they made a lot of guys out of here. So there's a lot of the Italians were Genovese or patriarchs. After the patriarchs were kind of done, it became the guys started getting made, having to go to. There was a gentleman from the North End, which is, I can throw a rock at the North End from Southie. He was on John A. Light's podcast, and Gene Ferrillo, I think it is. His name is Gene Ferrillo, and they had some old timers from. Oh, I forgot to mention Johnny Martorano, Italian, who worked for Whitey. He was his hitman. He was the one who did a lot of hits for Whitey. Killed a lot of people. I was in the same unit. I was in the same prison and unit as his son. As John Martorano's son. But Whitey he's living the good life now. You know, his son passed away earlier. I think that had a lot to do with his rage and anger. Because once Whitey found out someone was informing on him, he couldn't sleep until that person was dead. And that's a known fact. That's why every time that when I say he had more balls and
I was waiting to do that.
Yeah. So that's why I say John Gotti didn't have more balls than Whitey, because Whitey would kill you himself. And he'd be so relieved you were dead, he would have the other guys rip their teeth out so you couldn't identify him and bury him. He would take a nap right after whacking him. He was that relieved. Every time. Fucking crazy, right? And this kid, I didn't hang with him. His name was Russell Radcliffe. Whitey would pay his father to take the family on a vacation for a week, use his house to whack them and bury them in the cellar. Fucking, I can just imagine the ghost. I used to pool hop that fucking house. It wasn't a big house at all. It's just a regular house in the neighborhood with a backyard. But they were the only ones with a swimming pool. And us kids who weren't lucky enough to have a swimming pool or didn't like the salt water from the beach used to pool hop Russell's pool. And pool hopping means you fucking run towards his yard like a gorilla, hop in that motherfucker, hop out, and run the fuck away, because his father would chase you. He never caught me, or I think he might have caught Niggity Nooch once, my man Noochie. Minga. Oh, Nooch. Shout out to Salvatore, Nucio's father. So we pool hopped Russell's pool. Gorilla jumped in that bitch to cool off, run the fuck away. And we'd actually cut through my wife's yard to get away. That's crazy. I just thought of that now, baby. So, there was a little crevice you can get from Russell's yard to my wife's yard, the house she grew up in as a kid. And you can get to Bundy's fucking yard, and they had like this little brick little cave. That's how I can explain it. It was a tunnel. That's the word I was looking for. They had like a little tunnel made out of brick. They can walk through to get to the backyard. We'd run through it to get to the street. All right. So, Whitey's running the city and state. If you're selling drugs in Southie, no matter who you were, black, Spanish, white, you were kicking it in. And in those days, everybody was making money off of coke and grass. The 80s were a great era, from what my uncle told me. My Uncle Bobby, he's one of those guys that, you know, he loves the 80s. Always puts me in the time machine and goes back and tells me how it was when I would see him. I haven't seen him in a little bit. If you come across this channel, Bobby, Merry Christmas. I love you. My Uncle Bobby, he's my mother's cousin, so that makes him my second cousin, but he treated me like a son and a nephew, so that's why I call him Uncle Bobby. I'm sure everybody has one of those type of people in their lives, you know. So I called him Uncle Bobby. He taught me how to shave, talked to me about broads, you know. He taught me how to hustle, make money without actually working, if you know what I mean. Yeah. A lot of my street knowledge came from him and what I've learned from my own experiences, you know, running around the streets of Southie in Boston. Anyways, Whitey was with this woman, Teresa Stanley. She had a son, his nickname was Chicky, Billy Stanley. I actually did my first bid with him. And Chicky was an old school, he used to be an old school jewel thief. Did time in Chicago, Cook County Jail. And you know, became a drug addict throughout the years. I can just imagine living with a straight fucking psychopath and Whitey Bulger. That probably put some fear into him. And actually, here's a fun fact. This older woman I know, Julie, went out with this guy named Richie, and he lived right next door to Chicky, Billy Stanley, a buddy of mine. Teresa Stanley's, Whitey's girlfriend's son. Richie lived right next door to them. And when Whitey was in prison, Whitey wrote Richie. I became very good friends with Richie. He came to my house a lot, and I talked to him a lot, and he actually sold the letters Whitey wrote him from prison for a lot of money. For like for a few $1,000s. I don't know the exact number. I want to say like between 5 and 10, maybe more. I don't know, but he had a couple of them. So we go into the 90s. Things are still rolling. People selling coke for him, and we still have this reporter. He has his own talk radio show, and he wrote for the Boston Globe, which was right next to our project, across the street from UMass Boston College, and beside the John F. Kennedy Library, JFK. JFK is from Massachusetts, too, if you didn't know that. And he hated Whitey Bulger and the boys. Howie Carr was a person who hated South Boston, Charlestown, and Somerville because gangsters came out of here. I mean, I only know of one or two from Somerville, but like he didn't like criminal white people. Fuck him. He spreaded a lot of fucking rumors about Whitey Bulger. He was basically a fucking rat Whitey couldn't touch. But, and if you've read Whitey's Hitman's book, John Martirano, whose son Vinny I did time with, Howie Carr was going to be dead. John Martirano had a sniper's rifle waiting for Howie to come out for work. And Howie would have been dead if his kids didn't run out the house to give him a hug and a kiss. So he called it off. And he continued his tirade against Southie organized crime, Irish organized crime. Went on the radio, running his mouth, wrote for the fucking one of the biggest papers in the country, the Boston Globe. Wrote in there about him, spreading rumors that he was gay. Like, if he was fucking gay, right? What, don't you think he would have brought a man with him on the run? Like, Howie, shut the fuck up, all right? You're a clown. Anyways, when I interview Rick Marinick, he can give a better account of these stories. And you know what? For Christmas, I'll tell you the one story that I lost on here that most of my subscribers and people who come across this channel, me and Whitey did something together one time, believe it or not. I was very young, but I was ready. And I was capable, all right? So, I'll tell you after. How he lived, he's still alive. I ain't gonna say unfortunately. He ain't ever did nothing to me, but he comes up. He's the type of guy you would slap one time and put him in his place because he comes out the side of his neck, says shit he shouldn't be supposed to be saying. So John Conley had a partner. He had to convince to he's starting to ask questions now about John because John's feeling himself. He's wearing different suits every day now. He's got new suits. Talking about suits that cost a couple grand. He's got a gold and diamond pinky ring. He's dressing like a gangster. Got a Cadillac. He's got a different type of swag about himself. Even his wife was he had a gold Rolex, and as his nickname from when they were on the phone and talking was Zip or Zippy for zip code. So, because he grew up in the same zip code as us, not us, but as them, 02127. So when they said Zippy or Zip, they knew, everybody knew they were talking about the Fed, John Conley. So, like I said, John Conley had a partner now, and he needed some convincing, and he took the money. And his nickname was Vino because he loved wine, and that was his favorite wine. And that's what he would get his money in, a box of wine. There'd be an envelope in there for him. Well, things are good. Everybody's making money. Vino decides what he's doing is wrong. He's having a change of heart. Aww. Poor Vino. You're a fucking Fed who took money. Go talk to a priest. Don't fucking rat. Little fucking bitch. And that's where they got the notion, oh, if Whitey's working with Fred's, he must be an informant. Let's put this on the front page. And who was more happy to do that? Howie suck my dick. I wouldn't have too much animosity towards him if he didn't say about the people of Somerville. They should put a fucking 10-foot fence around the city of Somerville and give everybody a 7 or 10, a 5 to 10, whatever the fuck he said. Wise ass coming out the side of his neck comment, because there are good people in Somerville. There are some very good people in Somerville who didn't deserve that comment towards them. Hard-working people, blue-collar people. So you owe them an apology, Howie. Goofy-ass name. Anyways. John Conley. They got this new fucking dude from Pittsburgh or some shit. What? Anyways. John Conley tells Whitey, listen, indictments are coming down. Fucking, you got to do something. That's when Whitey decided he was going to take off. This was 1995 or 6. I was a freshman in high school. Yeah, it was 1996. I was a freshman. Because I remember it was a big deal around here. Where's Whitey? The feds can't find him. Is he in witness protection? Is he dead? Where is he? He bring Teresa with him at first. And she's like, she didn't want to live on the run for away from her family and its son and everything. So they set it up where someone went to go pick her up. They met halfway or whatever, picked her up, brought her home. That's when Catherine Gregg left with him. No one ever seen Whitey again. And that's when the mystery started. Where's Whitey Bulger? Once they had him on America's Most Wanted, they had John Walsh's corny ass walking right around here in this project. You know what I'm saying? Looking like a goofball. Where's James Whitey Bulger? He was last seen. There's speculation he was. You fucking bitch ass Andrew. Bitch ass nigga just fucked up my recording. No, it didn't. I gotta edit that out. Anyways. Whitey's on the run now. Catherine Gregg is with them. There was speculation. Kevin Weeks gets arrested. And once this fake news comes out, where Whitey Bulger's been a rat the whole time, which was a lie, propaganda, that's when he decides to show the feds where all the bodies are buried. And it took him 2 weeks in a jail cell to be like, you know what? And to come up with this phrase, how can you rat on a rat? How can you rat on a rat? What I'm a little confused about that because I mean I'm sure he's heard of this thing called self-dignity. He found this as an opportunity to get out. That's where he got his nickname, Kevin 2 Weeks. because it only took them 2 weeks to fold and to fucking show where the bodies were buried. Flemmy gets caught. Doing life. And like, know what makes me laugh the most? You should have heard some of the certain people around here. Oh, when Weeksy comes home, I'm not talking to that rat. I'll tell him to get the fuck out, get out of my fucking face. But I turned the corner one day. Those same people are kissing his ass. I just walked by them like, okay. Anyways, never talking to you again. And people talked about it for a long time, you know. Where's Whitey? Where's Whitey? Like, America's Most Wanted. Once in a while, there were Whitey sightings. It would come on the news or America's Most Wanted. Whitey Bulger was spotted in London, England, because the person was wearing a Boston Red Sox hat. Like, kind of looked like him, but I had no idea there was another brother other than Billy. They had a younger brother. And now that I think of it, it was the younger brother. That makes a lot of that's kind of smart. So he would have his younger brother take a trip here, take a trip there. You know, wear that hat. Then all of a sudden, a Whitey Bulger sighting. That just hit me, honey, by the way. That's funny, right? And it was the little brother because it looks exactly. I got the picture in my head, and it looks exactly like him. So that's how we did that. And there were rumors that he would come back for St. Patty's Day every other couple years, or come back to grab some money, to see some family in disguise, maybe a dress, a wig. Rumors. Then all of a sudden, oh, here's a fun fact for you guys. The Westies, Jimmy Coonan, Mickey Featherstone, they reached out to Southie guys from my neighborhood, to go to New York to whack out Paul Castellano before John Gotti and Sammy Gravano did it. But they ended up there was like fucking 2 members. Like, that ain't a fucking mob. Like, you got 2 drug addict, alcoholic, fucking. I mean, even Sammy said it. He was like, they did drugs, they drank all the time. They were just, I don't know. They were in his cup of tea. And I don't blame them. We were the fucking mob. The mob was right here. When you think of Irish mob, you think of Whitey Bulger in South motherfucking Boston. Southie, motherfucker. And that's a fact. But can you believe that? They reached out to Southie guys, Whitey and them, to whack out Paul Castellano. And they were gonna, and 4 guys were gonna drive to New York and do it. Because New York's only like a nonstop, probably 4.5 hours, depending on how fast you're driving. If you're gonna take the Fenghua, the Chinese bus, Chinatown, Boston to Chinatown, Manhattan, Canal Street to be exact, where all the fake Gucci and shit is. That's where it drops you off on Canal Street in New York. Okay, for Christmas, I told you guys about a story about me and Whitey Bulger, and here it is. Billy Niz was 3 years old. I bet you thought it was going to be like a crime fucking thing. No. No. I was 3 years old. My grandfather and my mother, where Goodwill Hunting was watching the Little League game, well, that's where the firefighters play softball. The Little League field is like 20, 30 yards away from there. Like 20 yards away from there. All the bigger kids are going down on their skateboards on their stomachs. So I said, hey, Papa, hey, Mama, look at me. I go down the slide on my skateboard. I end up getting hurt. And some guy ends up fucking being like, you all right, buddy? You all right? And my mother went to go pick me up. And my grandfather, they're like, oh, he's like, no, don't touch him. Just in case he got broken ribs or whatever. I knocked the wind out of me. All of a sudden, the guy picks me up, gives me a hug, puts me on his lap, gives me money, and he's balancing me on his knee, playing with me. That was James Whitey Bulger, ladies and gentlemen. James Whitey Bulger. My mother got calls for a week saying, so I almost became the fucking Irish Cologero. Instead of the Bronx Tale, it was gonna be the Southie Tale. I'm not even joking. They weren't gonna make a movie about it, but that was my interaction with James Whitey Bulger. And me and my friend Gerard used to shovel Kevin Weeks' car out. Whitey's right hand man. And he'd give us like $50 each too. Like $40 each he gave us. Not bad. Not bad. And we'd go back to him every year when we were younger. So excuse me. So out of nowhere, people in Southie here, Whitey Bulger gets caught. The neighborhood's buzzing now. Like, what? He was in Santa Monica, California the whole time. Living the quietest lifestyle. Stockpiled toilet paper, food, cash. $850,000 in cash in the wall with semi-automatic weapons, handguns, and shotguns. A 2011 Boston Bruins Stanley Cup ring. And I think there was a Boston Red Sox World Series ring in there, too. The neighborhood was buzzing, and especially when the trial was going on. Actually, the liquor store Whitey actually took from a friend of mine's father and wife, father and mother, and ran business out of for years, which was around the corner from my house. Old Colony Wine and Liquor. No, Rotary. It's the Rotary Wine and Liquors. Had an office downstairs and shit. The guy's name was Stippo Rakes. His sister, me and my wife actually talked to his sister yesterday. Not about that, but if you go to the Square Off TV, there's a documentary called The United States versus James Whitey Bulger. And it's going to tell you the truth if he was a rat or not. And I'm going to tell you what these feds say. They say, no, he ain't a rat. Because I'm sure Sammy the Bull can tell you, I don't know the fucking number of the packet or whatever. I call it a snitch packet. I guess when you're snitching for the feds or an informant being a rat for the feds, you get a fucking packet and everything you tell them. Everything in Whitey's packet was bullshit. It was things that motherfucking John Conley typed up out of the clear blue air like Walt Disney making up stories in the fucking castle Mickey Mouse lives in to make it look like he was a real informant. But he wasn't. That's what the world don't understand. Watch that documentary in my fucking videos. Full documentary in my videos. Stippo Rakes is in there. And he's one of the two men. You got Deborah Hussey's, the woman Whitey allegedly killed, strangled. And you know how in Black Mass they pick her up from the police station and shows him strangling her. I don't know if it happened like that. I doubt it. I heard in this neighborhood, not in New York, not in fucking East Bumfuck, Pennsylvania, where the Amish live. In this neighborhood where these people were at, I heard Flemmy, the boyfriend of the mother, she was going to tell the mother that she was banging him, so he was the one who killed her, not Whitey. So, you motherfuckers on the internet don't know shit. Stay out of Southie's business. Know how Mo 3 and all those people? This is Dallas business. This is Memphis business. This is Cali business. This is Southie business, motherfucker. Stay out of it. This is Boston business. You don't know shit. Straight like that. I'm Billy Batts with the Square Off TV. Merry Christmas and motherfucking Happy New Year. I'm off this bitch. Hopefully I don't get coal in my stocking, homie. What you got on my 40, homie? That's what I call a beef.